We use a lot of nebulized sodium bicarbonate, which is not mentioned in the reviews again, but again, I have the letter to the editor from the Lancet from the 1950s, where an anesthesiologist in England took sputum from these patients and put it into a bunch of tubes and put all kinds of liquids in the different tubes to see what would happen to the sputum, and saline, water, whatever. And when you put bicarb in one of the cups, the sputum just disintegrated into very manageable loose material. And that's because the bicarb disrupts presumably the sulfhydryl bonds in the mucus. So we use that all the time, but it's very controversial. There's no clinical trial. We might have one. We don't know yet. So after mucolytics, there's the and basic postural drainage, which usually the only people who do it regularly are cystics. Then there's the flutter and a cappella valves. And some people will do that and like it. And after that is the vests.
And before somebody gets a vest, do you always make them try the flutter or a cappella devices, or do you ever skip right to the vest? Is it a sequence?
The device. Yes. Usually go to the flutter or the a cappella because it's cheaper.
Okay.
It's pretty simple.
And what causes somebody to advance then to the vest? Is it compliance issue with flutter or a cappella, or is it an efficacy issue with flutter and a cappella?
No, it's an efficacy issue. It's I would say it's people who continue to have cough and phlegm and have trouble getting it up. Okay. And depending upon how far down the road people are, as their breathing capacity gets lower, they are unable to generate the pressure and the violence or airflow that they used to be able to with a cough. So it takes them multiple coughs to bring up the phlegm, and that, of course, drives them crazy.
Right.
So when they have declining ability to generate the force, velocity, the pressure, whatever, of the effective cough, then the mechanical devices are more likely to be helpful. Okay. Actually, when they work well, they're very impressive. Because you see somebody use the valve or the vest, and 5 minutes later they start yerking up this horrible stuff, and it's unpleasant to watch, or it's amazing to watch, depending on your point of view.
So before I do want to talk specifically about that vest experience and go in depth there, and I'm just kind of doing a quick look. Tell me a little bit about, as you go through this therapy pathway that you just described for me, when you talk to patients about it, do you present them this pathway as sort of options? We could try this or this or this, pros and cons, or do you say this is what we're going to do? We're going to go down this sequential path. How much choice does the patient have in this versus your expert recommendation is here's what we're going to try first, and then we're going to move to this if that doesn't work? Kind of how's it presented?
I guess it's presented as a step approach. Patients have a choice to participate or not.
Right. But they see it as, a step approach, that it's not just here's a menu of items, which one do you want to start with? You're describing a rational sequenced approach that's the right way to do it.
Yeah. And well, I don't know whether it's the right or wrong way. It's the realistic way, because it's easy for patients to get prescriptions for antibiotics. It's relatively easy for them to get a flutter valve or an a cappella valve. They just have to have a MasterCard and go on the internet. The vest is a bit of a ceremony because, there's approvals from insurance companies, there's time, there's glitches along the way, then there's the home visit, and, it's a big ceremony.
So tell me a little bit more about all those pieces that you just went, because we're early on in the study, so I haven't really heard everything yet at this point. Yeah. Tell me what goes into prescribing a vest for somebody. Glitches and